شكرا يا ربي شكرا.
Next surah is the 20th surah, the 20th chapter of the Qur'an. It has 135 verses, 8 sections, and this is Taha. It's named Taha. It's one of the names of the Prophet ﷺ. Now this surah was revealed before Hazrat Umar ibn al-Khattab radiallahu anhu became a Muslim, and he accepted Islam when he heard his sister reciting some verses of this surah. Obviously he was one of the biggest enemies of Islam, along with the Quraysh, but on his way to he had the intention of killing Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Imagine that. Someone suggested him, before you go and kill the Prophet, why don't you go and check out your own family? Your own family has accepted Islam. And his sister Fatima and her husband Sa'id were Muslims, and due to those days of persecution they kept their faith secret. Umar ibn al-Khattab radiallahu anhu went to their house, and at that time he was obviously not radiallahu anhu, and heard them reciting this chapter from the written copy, which they had quickly concealed and hid from Umar. Umar attacked his sister and her husband, but they bore the attack with patience and declared their faith. Umar radiallahu anhu, still not radiallahu anhu at that time, now struck with their sincerity, patience and fortitude, asked them finally that, why don't you show me? And now the wounded sister said, listen, you need to take a shower, you're not pure, and you cannot be, you need to wash yourself before this could be read in front of you. He not only came into the faith of Islam, but also became one of its strongest supporter and champions. Umar ibn al-Khattab was obviously a legend. So this whole story is mentioned here. And so if we can go on, so Umar radiallahu anhu at the time, obviously he was the greatest enemy of Islam, one of the greatest enemies and persecutors of Islam, and was on his way to kill the Prophet ﷺ, but accepted Islam on hearing his sister reciting some verses, and we just discussed this whole thing. Now the Quran has been revealed as a reminder for those who fear Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and to Him belongs whatever is in the heavens and the earth, all this, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has beautiful names. We should call out Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala by His names. Now the main focus of this surah is about Musa alayhi salatu wasalam and what happened, what took place with Musa alayhi salatu wasalam. So inshallah we'll dive right into that, and we'll discuss this inshallah, because it's quite lengthy. Now Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala started with, has the story of Musa alayhi salatu wasalam reached you, where he saw the fire and hastened towards Mount Sinai to bring some fire or find some guidance? On reaching the fire, he heard some a resonant voice calling him, "Oh Musa, inni ana rabbuka fakhlana alayk, I'm your Lord, take off your shoes, you are at the Muqaddas, at the valley, at the sacred valley of Tuwa. I have chosen you, ana akhtartuka fastami' lima yuha, that there's none worthy of worship except me. Innani ana Allah, la ilaha illa ana fa'budni wa aqim as-salata li dhikri." You have to establish salah and for my remembrance, and the final hour will come, but is hidden from every soul, shall be rewarded for his efforts. Inna sa'ata atiyatun akadu ukhfiha, it is hidden, the final hour is hidden, and for every soul shall be the reward for its efforts. O Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, in my right hand is my staff, I beat down fodder and for my flocks and other uses. So the story of Musa and his staff. Remember the story that he was told to alqiha ya Musa alqaha fa idha hiya hayyatun tas'a. He was told to throw it. He threw it. It became a very big snake. And also he was blessed with the miracle of putting his hand under his armpit, and it became shining white. These miracles are given to Musa alayhi salatu wasalam to show that these are the signs of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Now Musa alayhi salatu wasalam prayed to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to expand his heart. We know this dua. قَالَ رَبِّ اشْرَحْ لِي صَدْرِي وَيَسِّرْ لِي أَمْرِي وَاحْلُلْ عُقْدَةً مِّن لِسَانِي. Remove my speech impediment and grant me Harun alayhi salatu wasalam as my companion, so that he may glorify you frequently, that we may glorify you frequently. So he was, when he was sent to Fir'aun, he asked for this. And now Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala reminds Musa alayhi salatu wasalam and talks about all the favors. First, his mother was inspired to put him in a basket and let him go in the river, and eventually he ended up at the house of Fir'aun, where he refused all breast of all the people that were presented to feed him and breastfeed him. And eventually his sister obviously they didn't know this was his sister. His sister called his mother, and he took that breast and he took the milk from his mother, and all these favors. Then once upon a time he even he obviously was a prophet, he was very strong, and he received a complaint and he punched somebody and they passed away, they died on the spot. So فَوَكَزَهُ مُوسَى فَقَضَى عَلَيْهِ قَالَ هَذَا مِنْ عَمَلِ الشَّيْطَانِ. This whole thing is mentioned in the surah. So all these favors of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is mentioned in this surah. Then he moves on, that when he was sent to Fir'aun and along with his brother Harun alayhi salatu wasalam, and he said, Fir'aun asked him, who's your Lord? And he said, our Lord is who has given each created thing its form and nature, and then guided it. قال ربنا الذي أعطى كل شيء خلقه ثم هداه قال فما بال القرون الأولى قال علمها عند ربي في كتاب لا يضل ربي ولا ينسى. So all this he mentions the greatness of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Fir'aun obviously rejects all the signs and he says this is magic, and this guy is a magician, and obviously a magical contest was arranged, and Musa alayhi salatu wasalam was warned not to forge a lie against Allah. He had warned that don't forge a lie against Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This is not a magic, this is true, this is miracle of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The magicians obviously they came and they threw down their staffs, and they took shapes of this was all in the eye, this was not a reality. And when Musa alayhi salatu wasalam threw his staff, boom, all of the magicians magic was swallowed in one morsel. Now obviously, seeing this, the magicians knew right away this was no magic, and they bowed down in prostration and they accepted Islam and they became Muslims and they became followers of Musa alayhi salatu wasalam. And now Musa alayhi salatu wasalam was threatened to be persecuted. He was told to leave, so he left with Bani Israel. He left with them and he crossed the river, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala saved them. And when they got to the river, Musa alayhi salam again was told to use that same staff to smite the sea. And what happened? أَنِدْرِبْ بِعَصَاكَ الْبَحْرَ فَانْفَلَقَ فَكَانَ كُلُّ فِرْقٍ كَالطَّوْدِ الْعَظِيمِ. It opened up 12 paths, 12 ways in the middle of the sea, and the Red Sea, and boom, everybody crossed. But when Fir'aun came and he wanted to cross with his entire army, he drowned. And after the escape, what happened? The story of Samiri. We mentioned this before, we'll go over it quickly. Samiri, this person was left behind when Musa alayhi salatu wasalam obviously had gone to meet Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and take a revelation. What had happened when he went to the Mount Tur to in the meantime, Samiri had made a golden calf, and he had the story is detailed mentioned in previous surahs, that he had seen that when the horse of Jibreel alayhi salatu wasalam used to come and he used to leave, he used to leave signs of life under the hoof of the feet of the horse, and he picked up that earth and he put it into a golden calf, and boom, it started making noise and moving. People started worshipping. So Musa alayhi salatu wasalam comes back, he tells his brother, what is this? I left you responsible, and this is the situation. This whole thing is discussed here. So this whole theme is the whole theme of the story is about Musa alayhi salatu wasalam, and how after he came back, and eventually what happened, after he rebuked his brother Harun alayhi salatu wasalam, he even says, قَالَ يَا ابْنَ أُمَّ لَا تَأْخُذْ بِلِحْيَتِي وَلَا بِرَأْسِي. Something very important to mention here, that Harun alayhi salatu wasalam does not say, oh my brother, he says, oh the son of my mother, so that he might have love. He puts mother in the middle of the sentence, so that he might have love on him. And he said, لَا تَأْخُذْ بِلِحْيَتِي, don't grab me don't grab me by my beard. The beard was long enough to be grabbed. This is a sunnah of all the Anbiya and all the prophets. For the men folks that are listening, beard is a sunnah, and it is something very important for all men. And this is something hopefully we take guidance from, inshallah, from the Qur'an and the sunnah of the previous prophets. So this whole thing is mentioned, and eventually what happened is that Musa alayhi salam, when he was informed and he came back, he returned, and he was in anger and sorrow. He confronted his brother Harun alayhi salatu wasalam. Then he chases the Samiri away, and then the golden calf is melted down into a mass of molten metal and dumped into the sea. This was basically the story and the focal point of this surah. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala also mentions at the end about Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and how the information of the past events through the Qur'an was mentioned, and the people who rejected, for them will be a grave punishment in the hereafter. And all this is mentioned in this surah. So may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and also the story of Adam alayhi salatu wasalam with Iblis, what had happened, and we've discussed these things in detail in the past. So may Allah SWT give us tawfiq and ability to understand these things, take lessons from this and practice upon them and preach it to others. Wa akhir da'wana and alhamdulillahi rabbil alameen.